Was Stanley Kubrick using Jeffrey Epstein's crimes as a basis for the film Eyes Wide Shut? Was Stanley trying to warn us about Epstein? And was he poking Epstein personally in a way that no one who saw the movie at the time would have even been able to pick up on? This theory has been conjectured upon and speculated about for years now, but I think I have evidence that makes the basis of that theory all the stronger. There are 3 emails that I'm going to talk about in this video, all from the Epstein library. The first is this one. A picture of a flight log with redacted names, which some say turns out to be Celona, who was the one named. And I'll show you an alternate picture of the same piece of paper where you can see Celona's name. The second email is this one. What we have here is an email that it seems Jeffrey Epstein actually sent to himself. An interview from Playboy magazine with the author of the book Lolita. I use this as evidence to show Jeffrey's absolute obsession, his sick, depraved obsession, and his misinterpretation of the book. And then we have an FBI crisis intake form, which describes an event where a woman was asked to join Epstein's plane, appropriately named Lolita Express. It proves that the Lolita Express was around since at least 1996. Let's start with what Celona knew. Here's the picture of that flight log without the redacted names. You could see Celona named twice, on May 1st and May 3rd. This was from Teterboro to Palm Beach, and from Palm Beach to Teterboro. So Celona may have actually been on the Lolita Express. Now this is supposedly 1999, the year Eyes Wide Shut was released. Did Celona know Jeffrey Epstein before the making of Eyes Wide Shut? The answer to this question has severe implications for film theorists like myself, claiming Stanley Kubrick was trying to warn us about people like Jeffrey Epstein. And of course, like I said, I'm not the first to do this. In fact, New York Magazine had a Vulture piece. If you look here, they're trying to draw the lines as well. In this article, they rule out Celona as having been on the Lolita Express, saying that it was actually misread from Selena to be Celona. I don't see how that could be possible because these are typed words. I don't see how it could be Selena instead of Celona. I think the writer of that article got a bit lazy, to be honest with you. Did Kubrick hear about any of this from Celona? Did he hear about Clinton? And he was president at the time. This would be very enticing to somebody like Kubrick, who wanted to go after the establishment. Kubrick may have known this was his last movie. People say that he felt great throughout this time, but if you look at him, he did not look that well. He may have known that he was coming to the end of his journey in life. Was Stanley Kubrick literally pointing the finger and poking the bear that was Jeffrey Epstein? Was he poking the bear that was Bill Clinton? I have to ask the question, are the theories about the end of Stanley's life becoming more and more possible, more and more plausible? So this article on USA Hitman features a picture of Celona right here. Actually reports that Celona flew on the Lolita Express, and that experience would have informed his advisory role for the production of Eyes Wide Shut. Here we see Celona's name in the article that he actually apparently supposedly put together for the movie. Personally, I think that Kubrick had more to do with the architecture, if you will, of the article than Celona himself. Celona, being a real reporter, would have been a nice name to have in the movie. Again, breaking the boundary between film and reality, between dream and reality. Putting the viewer into the movie. The viewer would have said, oh, Larry Celona, I've seen him before. I've seen his byline. Now keep in mind, when Kubrick dies in 1999, Celona is the one to break the exclusive story, reporting that Kubrick was happy, joking, and completely at peace before he died. Why was Celona the first one? Why is he the first to report so many deaths, including Epstein's, including JFK Jr. and Stanley Kubrick? And here's 20 years later, Celona reporting on the death of his possible friend, Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein found nearly unconscious in NYC jail cell after possible suicide attempt. Photos show Jeffrey Epstein as he's wheeled into downtown hospital. Jeffrey Epstein dead in apparent suicide. All this is to say that Larry Celona may have actually been a friend of Epstein's at the time of his advisory role on Eyes Wide Shut. Here we have the Lolita interview that Jeffrey Epstein seems to have sent to himself. The reason I'm including this is to show that Jeffrey Epstein was absolutely obsessed with the novel Lolita. If you know anything about the novel Lolita, you know that Kubrick adapted it into a film. A rather popular and successful film, even in its day. It had a red carpet premiere in New York City, but unlike Epstein, Kubrick may have understood that that book was damning and putting down the actual pedophilia that is in that book. Was Epstein modeling his life after these mid-20th century icons, the film and the book, and twisting them into his own dark reality? Imagine Celona telling Kubrick, this guy is obsessed with Lolita, you know. This would have made Kubrick's ears perk up. In the Epstein files, when I searched Lolita, I found this. What looks to be a young woman's neck with Lolita prose inscribed with black ink. Okay. So we have Epstein doing freaky and sick little art projects, little photography projects of his own. Here we see a foot inscribed with a quote from Vladimir Nabokov's Lolita. Now keep in mind, if Kubrick heard about this, hey, there's a sick guy in New York City who's absolutely enthralled with Lolita. You know, Kubrick was enthralled with Lolita as well. He thought it was an amazing book that would have made a great movie. But Epstein was enthralled, obviously, in a much sicker way. This is an email from Jeff. His reply is okay at the top. The email he received is, "Hi, Jeffrey. I met redacted today. She is like Lolita from Nabokov. Femme miniature." Absolutely sick. So this is from somebody on the inside of his circle. Otherwise, you're not going to type in femme miniature, are you? So now I should send you her type of candidates only. Tomorrow we travel to Bern for visas. This is somebody who Epstein is keeping track of. Tomorrow we travel to Bern for visas. And then right above that, so now I should send you her type of candidates only? Epstein replies, okay. Is this email an associate of Epstein's whose job it is to find these girls who he wants to traffic and take? And now, of course, it's becoming the idea that he's looking for his Lolita. She is like Lolita from Nabokov, femme miniature. Absolutely disgusting. Did Kubrick find out that the same person is the one who's giving Bill Clinton the idea that he should get involved with crime? The idea that he should get involved with Lolitas? You may have seen this. This is an image of an oil painting that was hanging in Epstein's home. Obviously, it's Bill Clinton in a blue dress and red heels. Was this Epstein's way of showing Bill Clinton that he had him? Was it a quiet form of blackmail or an outrageously loud form of blackmail? Clinton was so perverse, as you know, that he accidentally brought his little hobby into the Oval Office. Epstein took many pictures of Clinton with women on what looks just like regular tourist trips. I mean, they may have been buddy-buddy. Did Celona break that news to Kubrick? Keep in mind, Clinton is the president at the time. Now you see I have this photo here. This is a still from Eyes Wide Shut. This is when Bill, who's seen here on the left, is talking to Mandy, who's here on the right. Mandy eventually, right after this scene, saves Bill's life when this cult is about to kill Bill for being found out, for being an imposter, somebody who's not supposed to be there. The man in the middle, who you might recognize, is wearing the only human face mask at the party. So everybody else's mask is either a white mask like we see here on Mandy, which is shaped like a human face, but it's white, it looks porcelain, or Bill's mask, which has gold over the eyes and it's also white, or monstrous, like a ghoul, gargoyles, African masks, all types of masks. This is the only mask we see that is meant to look exactly like a human being. In other words, its skin tone, eyebrows, the nose. Does it remind you of anybody? I mean, when I first saw it, I thought of rosy-cheeked, slightly tossed, slightly high, slightly drunk Clinton, right? Now, again, this is pure conjecture, but it looks like a younger Clinton to me. And again, Celona would have told Kubrick all of this. This is Stanley Kubrick, one of the coolest, most sought-after, most well-respected individuals in pop culture history of all time. Working with him, Celona may have gotten a bit excited and shared these facts with him. Maybe Kubrick said, I need the down and dirty, and I'll keep things private, but I want to make my movie real. Did Kubrick make it too real? Did Clinton see his face in this mask? Did Hillary say, hey, that looks like you, Bill? Then there's the taxidermic tiger. This tiger was found in Kubrick's home. That picture was taken by somebody visiting his home, who may have been led into, Epstein's private office accidentally. They snapped this picture with a cell phone camera. It's a huge taxidermic tiger. Now have a look at the final scene of Eyes Wide Shut. In this shot of the final scene, at the very forefront of the image, we have Tom and Nicole. But also featured relatively forward in the image toward us and lit from above are, of course, tigers. Stuffed tigers, just like a taxidermic tiger. My theory, obviously, is that Celona says, hey, Stan, this sicko's got a taxidermic tiger in his house. You gotta see it, it's insane. Did Stanley put the tigers in the shot to poke Epstein? So what I'm doing is I'm taking the theory of did Stanley try to warn us about Epstein, and I'm taking it one step further, saying, did Stanley let Epstein know that he was onto him, and he was going to show the public something that they wouldn't catch on to, but only Epstein would catch if he saw the movie? And what was Epstein's reaction? What was Clinton's reaction? The tigers and the mask of Clinton are two direct uppercuts from the mind of Kubrick. Again, taking his movie from the script and the screen and putting it into reality in a way that is so deep and so articulated that the people who would see this movie involved in the cult would have their jaws drop down to their shoes and might even make a few phone calls afterwards saying, what is this about? Was Larry Celona one of the people that Epstein or Clinton would have called? Was Bill Clinton described by Celona as somebody who was reluctant to join the cult, but for one reason or another had to? So Stanley chose a building with political significance. But what I didn't know until recently was that Bill Clinton would have spent time in the Democratic Club. Kubrick's choice of this building is extremely purposeful in letting Clinton know, hey, guess what? I'm releasing this movie that has to do with you personally. Here's the FBI crisis intake form that mentions Clinton. An anonymous woman provided the following information in August of 1996, before the making of Eyes Wide Shut. A male subject attempted to recruit the anonymous female caller to be a companion aboard the Lolita Express. According to the anonymous caller, she was to be paid $800 an hour. At the time of the incident, the anonymous female caller was 17 years of age. She was also told that Bill Clinton and Alan Dershowitz would also be aboard the Lolita Express. The unknown male subject that tried to recruit her at the bar was described as being dressed as though she was in a Beastie Boys video with a cheap toupee and a suit. The anonymous female caller did not ultimately accept the offer to board the Lolita Express. As you can see, my research took me on a bunch of different wavelengths here. And the more research I do and the more I think about it, the more I begin to realize Kubrick was absolutely poking the bear and saying, I'm going to change the form. And for my last masterpiece, I'm going to change people's lives with my movie. And it's not going to be public. It's going to exist in the psychology of the criminals involved.